Amen. Okay, I think I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And of course, I think everybody knows why we're here. Coronavirus deal. I'm going to let Ryan. He wants to give us some information about what's going on.
Okay. So I've been getting lots of questions, and I was also asked to come talk to City Council before. I just thought we'd go ahead and just do that today instead of waiting until next Monday and all that, because this is a quickly evolving situation, as you all know. Just to kind of recap where things are at, President Trump did declare a national emergency. That has never been done before, so that's caused us some things to work through that we're not used to working underneath those kind of processes. The governor of the state of Kansas declared a state of emergency for the state of Kansas. This is now through January 2021. So all the way till next January, that declaration will stay in place for COVID-19. Our county is currently not under a state of emergency. We have not declared at a county level. Every day we are reviewing that and looking at that. Basically what will trigger that is if local resources or staffing start to be at a critical level, then we will look at if we need to declare a state of emergency at a local level. Currently we can request certain resources and certain assistance from the state, since they are already activated at the state EOC, without declaring at a local level. There's some stuff that if we are requesting certain things, it will also require a state of emergency at a local level. The normal funding process that we have for state of emergencies is we have to meet a local threshold amount, a damage amount, before we can declare locally, and then it goes to the state. The state has to meet a certain threshold before it goes presidential. That's our normal disaster state of emergency process. This one is obviously worked in reverse. It came federal down. But also, since this is a health emergency, we are now working under HHS instead of FEMA, which we've never done before either. So Health and Human Services is where the funding for a lot of this is coming from versus FEMA, if that makes sense. Public information, we are coordinating that with the hospitals, the clinics, the long-term care facilities. This is for information being put out to the public as a whole. What we have said is if it is specific information for that facility, obviously that is their own decision, and then that is their own thing to put out. As far as county governments, city governments, all that, we're getting lots of questions on recommendations and what to do and all that. We don't make those decisions. We have the same guidance that you guys do. We will help get that guidance to you. Ultimately, those decisions are at those levels. Until the governor did send out an executive order today that any gathering over 50 people is now banned, and there are some exceptions to that that can all be found in the executive order what those exceptions are. So that decision she did make at a state level. Just to kind of let you know how this works at a county level, hospitals, clinics, law enforcement even, they all fall in under right now for this what we call an ESF 8, Emergency Support Function 8. That is health and medical. That is part of our big county emergency operations plan. That's where all these people fall under. The lead agency for that is County Health Department. Since this is a public health emergency, County Health is the lead agency for that. This gets a little confusing because emergency management is working in support of them. Whereas a tornado, flooding, that sort of stuff, more emergency management is the lead agency. This one is the County Health Department. So if you're asking me questions and stuff and I'm referring you to the County Health Department, that is why. That is happening. So, our first responders, they have already started protecting themselves, so you will see them around in their outfits, their respirators, the N95 masks, the goggles, all that. That is for the public's protection and their protection. As you all know, we have limited staff. If we have EMTs go in to a sick patient and it's a suspect patient and they're not wearing proper gear, we have to quarantine them until we get a test result back. Well, you can imagine if this happens 2 or 3 times, that's going to pose a big problem on our volunteer service, where our numbers are already low. So that's why they are taking precautions. They have screening and process. that they ask on scene. The dispatch or the sheriff's office, they are also screening 911 callers when they call in. If they're answering yes to certain questions, then they're alerting EMS, and EMS is suiting up before they go in. Once they're at the hospital, the medical staff will determine whether they need to be tested or not, and then that's coordinated with KDHE. The thing to keep in mind here is this particular virus, there's a lot of people that can get this. They will think they have the cold. They won't seek medical attention. They won't be tested, and therefore they won't be accounted for. So that's the other side of this. The numbers you're seeing are those that have sought medical treatment. There's a lot of people that may get this and not even know they have it. That's the other thing that we have to look at as far, and that's why you're seeing all these measures in place of social distancing and all that. It's to try to lower the curve, so to speak, flatten the curve, if that makes sense. So, at this point, we are operating in mitigation, and which basically we're putting things into place to help mitigate the spread of the virus. We're also pre-planning for response. That's where we're at right now. We do not have any current cases in Cheyenne County. There's no positive test cases in Cheyenne County. You're also going to hear people say, I'm under quarantine, or I was told to quarantine. Well, there's lots of avenues for this. One of the orders you'll see is basically right now, if you've traveled to certain counties in Colorado, if you've traveled to the state of California, Washington, New York, or some international travel, when they're coming back, they're being told they have to self-quarantine. That's not an order we're putting on them. They're being told to self-quarantine for 14 days. So, and there are people that are traveling, and there are people here in this county that fall under that criteria. So if they're being told to self-quarantine, it's because of their recent travel, or they may have been around somebody who's suspected of having this. That does not mean that we have it here. That does not mean they have it. Does that make sense? So, I know this stuff gets out and about and misconstrued a lot. So, but we do not have any current positive cases in Cheyenne County. Part of this process, we will never know the positive impacts of this. All the stuff being put in place, we won't know the positive impacts it has. What we will know is if we don't do anything and we get it. That part we'll know. But as far as if we prevent this from getting to our community, yeah, you can say, well, they did all this and nothing happened. That's the point, if that makes sense. So, any questions over any of that?
What do we do in situations where you see posts on Facebook and people saying I was exposed here locally and now I'm in quarantine? And I've had probably 11, 12 calls today about that situation. I have to tell them I have no clue. I mean, do you know the situation I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I don't know.
What would you suggest we say in these events?
Basically, if you have questions, you can call the county health department. I will tell you, obviously, they're busy. I mean, we're trying not to overwhelm them either. But the thing to keep in mind is our office, county health, per request by KDHE, we don't release, and we can't, because the person that's being tested in that, they have privacy stuff too. So we can't release people under investigation, what you see as PUI. We don't release those numbers, or we don't even release the numbers that people being tested. The only release you will see come out, official release from County Health or KDHE, is when we have a positive case. That will be released, and that will be made public.
By the local department?
That press release will actually come from KDHE.
I wondered, okay.
And then it'll be funneled through the County Health Department. I also want to mention, Dr. Lick is our County Health Officer. By statute, she has a lot of authority through this. So if we do get to a point where we have to order a quarantine or anything like that, she's the one to work through that process, and the County Commission is the County Board of Health. Those orders would come out through that process. So we've not done that.
If in the future there is a positive case, will there be another meeting such as this one?
Probably not.
Okay.
Because basically, that's what I'm trying to assure you, is our teams are in place, our people are doing what they need to. We're ready for this.
Okay.
If we get a positive case, we're ready.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, most people are being told to stay at home, lots of fluids, stay away from people, self-isolate, and let the virus work through. If they start exhibiting symptoms that create life-threatening conditions, then they seek medical treatment. Because the thing we want to keep in mind, our hospitals are also limited on how many of these patients they can treat.
Right.
So, does that answer your question? So,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, I think there's already something out there on Facebook, saw it a little bit ago, about somebody here.
Okay. And you're going to have that? That's just part
And
of
you
it.
know, that just causes this whole panic thing that's going on.
Mhm.
They should have never posted that. That is totally wrong.
Freedom of speech. But, yeah.
Yeah, but they posted it, and that's what's causing the panic and unnecessary anxiety and everything else that's going on across the whole country, and now it's going to start happening here. And I think it's just, it's scary.
And I can, in their defense too, I will say that, if they're around somebody and they were exposed and, they're told they need self-quarantine, that can cause some anxiety
Mhm.
and some worry for that person. But the thing to keep in mind is that doesn't mean you have it. That just means protect yourself, but mainly protect others. The ones we're really, really concerned with are at-risk vulnerable populations. The elderly, those that have underlying health conditions, those are the ones we're really, truly trying to protect. So.
And they've got already got a good deal on that up at the hospital, the clinic, the nursing home, every place. I mean, they're protecting all of them really well, so
Yeah.
I think they're doing a good job right now, as good as we could do.
Yep, the team is in place, the team is working well together. I was very impressed that some of these things went into effect before they were actually ordered to. That's reassuring that people are taking that part seriously. So.
I hear you've been just a tad busy lately.
Just,
Yeah.
well, the other part of this too is, what I tell you today can change tomorrow. We've already seen that. What I was told Friday changed Saturday and through the weekend, and this is an evolving situation. So, it's going to continue that way for a while. It's a novel virus, which means they don't know everything about it. So, things are subject to change. The big thing too is, as far as distancing yourself, it's what county health is telling me is it's 6 feet. Try to maintain 6 feet distance, and you're not exposed to somebody unless they're exhibiting symptoms. You are closer than 6 feet for longer than 10 minutes. Just because you walk into a business and leave them a check and walk out doesn't mean that you were exposed. So there's some common sense with this as well. Any other questions? Okay. If not, can we do an executive? Do you want to call that?
I can't call it. I believe Mr. Murray is asking for an executive session pertaining to security as it relates to public buildings and private property, which is provided under the statute subsection B, subparagraph 12, subparagraph C and D, so it would be provided for. That must be made by a motion of the council member and an affirmative vote of the council. So I will leave that to the mayor to ask for a motion and conduct that vote. There is statutory authority for what he is asking.
And it's the security measures, etc.
Security major.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
How long, 15?
Okay, do we hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to go in. Yes, I'll make a motion to go into executive session for 15 minutes to resume at 4:37 for the purpose of security measures with Terry and Cody and the rest of the council. Yeah, you want everybody, right? Everybody but the paper, sorry.
Yeah. You don't have
Everybody
anything else
but
for
the
me
paper.
that I can do? I don't have to take any, but if you have any,
Do you want the executive order? You can't do a public record.
you can. Thank you. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Okay, did I hear a second? Second by David. Okay.
Okay, hold on.
We technically can't talk about anything else until that time.
Right.
So we have 30 seconds before we can talk about anything else. But we're out and back on the record, so.
So, did any of your workers want to sing for their children? If the school's closed for the rest of the year, how are they going to? You already have daycare capacity.
Yeah, right.
Help our neighbors.
Yeah, that'll be a big factor for parents having, where the kids gonna be, if they gotta go to work and kids are at home, some of them be too young to be at home by themselves.
I think the other grandpa and grandma, they're the ones more susceptible than the kids are.
Right.
Is there a concern for increased traffic and therefore possibly increased security for the food bank? I mean, my thought and concern would be, especially if the governor just closed schools for the remainder of the school year until the summer, that the concern of establishing the nutritional needs of families may fall significantly on the food bank. And I don't know if our food bank, which is only open 1 day a month, 2 days a month?
1 day.
1 day a month?
One day unless they have something special.
Um, What's the concern about meeting that need?
One of the other points of contention that was brought to my attention this morning was evidently there's a brewing discontent of certain individuals over people with Colorado license plates coming in and buying exorbitant amounts of supplies. And they were talking about standing in front of these stores and not allowing them. How do we handle those situations?
You call it local law enforcement. Is what you do. They can't do that.
Until they rescind the interstate commerce clause, people can go to other states and buy goods and transport them across the state borders.
Now, part of what you are seeing, when a president declares at a national level, or the governor declares at a state level, part of that is it gives them authorities to lift certain regulations, change certain regulations, and that's what you're seeing come into play here. So,
The bottom line is going to be, and we're going to see it, even though I hate to even mention it, you're going to have those that have commodities and those that have not. Pretty soon, those that have not are going to try any way possible to get what they want. Now, is this going to wind up in martial law? Geez, who knows? It's gone crazy in 1 week. If we come back and have a conversation a week from now,
Yeah, my daughter works for Kroger's, King Soopers. This weekend, she's salaried. She's at a office, desk office downtown. She was called out to go to the store, so did all the other ones out with opening up more checkouts and out there at 120th where she lives, they have to call the cops because of the fights going on in the grocery store. And it's going to get worse if
So you finding that the mitigation strategies are having to be flexible, scalable, week to week?
and that's part of too why I wanted to reach out to you guys too. If you guys are hearing things, or you have planning concerns, or maybe you think there's something we need to be thinking of, shoot me an email, whatever, let me know that. So we try to think of everything, but obviously we can't. So, and there may be things. Our plans are guides. I know they call them plans. I call them a guide. They're a guide for us to kind of work through things. They're not going to cover everything. We're going to encounter stuff that we don't have a plan for, and we just can't do.
Cody, what about you needing help? The way we can get help on certain levels if you need it. I would imagine that, like the whole TV show thing, if deputizing somebody, I imagine that's probably what's going to have to happen, because if everybody's having the same issue saying, well, we'll have a call for help, then that's going to be ridiculous, because they're going to be spread thin across their troop area anyways. Because, what is there, 7 troopers on our troop?
there's more than that. They have the specialty guys.
Yeah, they're not counting, actual.
Yeah,
So
that'd be a good number.
you spread that across 5 counties, 7 guys, what are you going to do? Add 1 more person to your army? It's not going to really benefit. That is an extreme possibility, and it's allowed by law to do that. To say, okay, we have this point of distribution, I need 3 guys to guard it, or 6 of us, and we need to guard it 24 hours a day. Yes, it's a matter of
We're out of executive session 6 minutes ago.
You called on me, though.
We called on you to talk about things not in executive session.
Oh, this is hypothetical. This is hypothetical. I'm talking about the public, so.
Well, I think Ryan's answered a lot of our questions and everything and stuff, so courthouse is going on with business as normal. Okay.
Best that we can.
If we do activate at a county level, our declare state of emergency, obviously you guys are aware of that. At that point too, there may be representatives from the city council that will have to come in and out of the emergency operations center at different times. That's just part of that process.
Okay. I think we operate the city office as normal too.
Yeah.
Everybody agree with that? Okay. Lock the door though. The glass door. You
Oh,
lock
yeah.
that one, lock it.
Yeah, we do that.
That way they cannot come further. And I guess the slide through deal, have enough sanitizer or whatever you want to clean it.
And we've been really good about that.
So,
Spraying Lysol.
This is just going off, right?
This one back here, yes. Yeah, and we haven't been real good about keeping that one locked, but we will moving forward. And
well, I think now keep it locked.
On a totally different note.
yeah. It has to be under the subject.
Well,
Yeah.
Is it under?
He wants to ask
Oh.
Brian a question.
Oh, yeah.
I had a pastor call me before I came here about 3 o'clock this afternoon. Says we were thinking about closing the church Sunday. What are y'all doing? I said, I don't have a clue. What's the suggestion on the table?
The governor's order states that the churches are exempt provided that they are able to keep the social distancing. If your church is not large enough to accommodate the 6 feet apart rule, you are not, the way I read it, you are not exempt from that order. You are only exempt if you meet
That's a
the
sticky situation because normally we're not. But the last 2 weeks we have been simply because of this. And so we're Facebook Living our services and we have about half the people showing up and about half the people not showing up. And so,
I think that's pretty, I read a couple of articles where, especially in larger congregations, they're encouraging them to stay home and tune in via whatever news media or media they use, and you can watch the service
right.
from your home.
Okay.
If we are to practice the guidance that is out there, that is what I would recommend you do.
Okay. All right.
And I apologize, I did not mean to speak. I did not mean to speak on your behalf, but as my job to advise the council in interpreting what is released from the state, that is my interpretation of what has been released from the state.
And then just another thing to be thinking about is what we call review planning, continuity of operations. That if we do start getting staff that is getting sick, that is something to look at is, do they have to use their sick time? Do you continue paying them? Those are discussions for you guys to have. But also, you may want to change your schedule a little bit to where all your workforce isn't at work all together at the same time. I mean, those are just things to consider. I'm not telling you what to do. Just consider, kind of this mitigation and prevention thing of maybe kind of shutter people a little bit so, that way we don't take the risk of getting everybody sick at the same time and everybody going down. So, just something to think about. I assure you, we're working on it. We're doing the best we can.
I would mind seeing some kind of lines of communication within our community. Those that have some needs, to have one focal point to call in and say, hey, I'm completely out of my medicine. Can we come up with something like that? But anyway, put a number out there and say, you have legitimate needs. You're out of food, you're out of your medication, you need some kind of medical supplies. Someplace they can call in and get a real person to answer, and then use volunteers to make those deliveries.
There is the United Way, which they can call 211, and it is activated right now. People can also call that for assistance as well. And they can help with a lot of things, but that we can have we'll look into that. I can't say.
Have you communicated that with the newspaper, the United Way information?
Well, they have the press releases.
Okay.
Those are great ideas, and communicating that on a weekly basis, either, I don't know how we get that done, but I think that would be wise.
I will mention that to the public information. We are just trying to keep public information going through one avenue, so we stay consistent and we make sure it's actual. Yeah. Follow the county health. Yes, we don't. Follow the county health department, they are posting on Facebook, so. KDHE has a lot of useful information out there as well.
Okay, well, I think that covers this meeting, and thanks for all the information.
Thanks for all
We
you do.
just keep our fingers crossed and pray that it don't hit us hard anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way to 100% defend yourself in this.
No. Well, they closed schools up in Denver too. Two of my granddaughters are not in school for 3 weeks. Daycare is open. But our daycare that we took our two youngest to, thanks to my husband, there is big one. We could not go inside. The parents can't even go inside.
Really?
Yep. You take it to the front door, help comes and gets them. The first thing they do is check temperatures and everything on the kids. And if they don't have a temperature and everything's good, they go ahead and keep them for the day. Because they said, how are people going to work if they have to stay home and babysit their kids? And it just, like we've been talking, it's a whammy effect. It affects everything that's happening in this country, everybody and everything.
I think we need a motion to adjourn if they're going to adjourn.
Yeah, do I hear a motion to adjourn? Moved by Amanda, second by Carol, all in favor? Adjourn. Thank you, guys.